I think we're on the air. Welcome to our August 8th, 2023 Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District monthly meeting. And our first item on the agenda is called this meeting to order and pledge of allegiance. Please rise and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Flag can move over there. Our next item on the agenda is swearing in of Manager Boyles for another term. Frank, I think you can do it right here. And just repeat after me. I, your name?
I, Frank Boyles,
Do solemnly swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of manager of the Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of manager of Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we got that out of the way. And Frank, this is your second term, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to have any public comment from anybody in the audience. Want to address the Board of Managers on an issue that's not on our agenda or consent agenda. And I'm not seeing anybody at this time, so we're going to move to the approval of the agenda. And I do believe we have to have some corrections. Manager Geisy, do we not have to pull some things off the consent, or do we do that later?
President Loney, I think we could do that as part of the consent agenda, but yes, we will. Staff will ask that consent agenda items 6.1 and 6.5, the claims list portion of item 6.5 be pulled from the consent agenda.
So they're still on the agenda, so they would be I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion was made and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Okay, so now we're up to old and new business, and we're going to do first our programs and project update. And I'll turn it over to staff, and who's first?
Yes, thank you.
Jeff's first? Okay.
All right, so continuing as from last month, in July, I explained a little bit about the U.S. Drought Monitor, specifically here in Scott County. We were in a moderate drought. We have now moved into a severe drought status, as indicated by the statistics in the orange D2 through D4. We're 93% into a severe drought. So our lack of precipitation has then led into a decline in lake levels and just water flowing throughout the district in general. So looking at this three-year water quality graph, or water lake level graph on Prior Lake, we can see that our lake levels have really trended similar to last year, which we were also in a severe drought. So the lake level actually looks very similar. We're slightly above last year, and like last year, many of the residents within the district are concerned with the lake level. So it's quite similar. The lake's at 899.57. Our lake level graphs have been troublesome recently, but we are working on improving that with an additional new web page that will display our telemetry logger data. So this is an ongoing project. We're hoping to have this available and online. It will be compatible with our new website. So this dashboard website will display our lake level data and it'll make searching and filtering our level data easier and more convenient for residents as well as staff. This will support a lot of different types of equipment. So excited to get that online and available. Our cart management program was a little slow in July. We uninstalled most pit stations, but not all. There was shipping delays on the hog trap, but we were able to get that up and tested, and we're shooting for install next week. So we've begun baking corn in Spring Lake at potential sites where we're going to install this. So pretty excited. This has a remote trigger system, so we're hoping to automate the process a little bit here. This is a photo on the right of one of the panels that will lift up and then remote trigger off of an app, and it will drop. So there's a few entrance points for this trap. We'll be installing this somewhere on Spring Lake and using baited corn to aid in attracting the carp. This month's monitoring minute, I was hoping to just give a kind of a broad update on the district's impaired waters, how that relates to our TMDL work, and in general, how our projects and programs relate to this overarching impairment that really pushes the district to complete the work that it does. So in 2002, the MPCA created the 303D Impaired Waters List. It created an impairment status based off of many factors, including the beneficial use of the surface water. So we are a Class 2B aquatic life and cool water fishery, which basically means that our waters are pretty average for this location, and that we use it for recreation, and we want it to support fisheries type status. So the impairment's also based on natural variability, several different pollutants, and water quality standards, which are then based off of ecoregion and lake characteristics. The water quality standards are then further broken into eutrophication, impairment of biological communities, and the impairment of fish for human consumption. So how are we supposed to fix these impairments? On the right, you'll see a map created by our intern, Lindsay, that defines which lakes have which impairments. As you'll see by the fish symbol on Spring and Lower Prior Lake, this one's impaired for fish bioassessment with hash marks for mercury and green layer for nutrients, excess nutrients. So how are we supposed to fix these impairments? Well, through these MPCA provided and listed TMDLs, watershed restoration and protection strategies. So restoration strategies focus on fixing lakes that have impairments, and protection strategies are focused on ones that don't have impairments but have been selected as being important enough to protect, and those can range differently based on how important they are in its level of protection. For fish bioassessments, there's stressor ID reports and DNR fisheries reports. And for mercury, this is generally linked to air emissions and mercury is accumulated in fish tissue. It's more of a legacy impairment that the district doesn't have an active role in trying to fix. So to achieve these load reductions, which are identified in the TMDLs. That to achieve these, we work on projects and programs to solve the excess nutrients. These include district stormwater rules, capital improvement projects such as iron-enhanced sand filters, alum treatments, shoreline restorations, the Ferric chloride system, programs such as the carp management, and agricultural BMPs that are assisted through the Soil and Water Conservation District. And for fish bioassessment, almost all the excess nutrient and projects work toward that goal, as well as enhancements, AIS management, and time. Fish bioassessments take significantly longer to improve over time, so that is considered. So how do we delist these lakes, as that is our primary goals? Well, you need reliable data. You need enough data to indicate that it's no longer impaired. The TMDL study and implementation plan can be completed and then approved by the EPA to be, as well as determining that sources of the impairment were natural of origin. So within that delisting process, monitoring data is used, it's reviewed, verified to show that no impairment exists. A professional judgment team is provided and reviews this. They look at the quality and quantity of the data, how many times the data exceeds the statistics throughout the year on what the impairment is. They look at the weather and flow conditions. So would this current drought impact our ability to show our efforts towards improving lake water quality, as well as watershed-specific conditions. So overall, the weight of evidence concept is used within this delisting process, and this is to show a convincing pattern has emerged on the water body, and that, for example, a single project can have a large impact, such as alum, but that alum might not have a forever. What's the word here? It might not last forever. So that team is aware of that, but should the trend show a positive result, that's used in delisting. So there's no magical year on how long a lake has met water quality standards for that delistment process. It's largely based off of trends. So right now, Emily's working with the MPCA on updating our 2011 TMDLs in fish, or in spring and Upper Pryor on that connected TMDL, as well as the fish and Pike Lake ones. So these are all either new for pike and fish, or within this 10-year reassessment for spring and Upper Pryor. Well, that's the overview of our impaired waters. If you have any questions on that, I'll be happy to answer.
Any Manager Morkenberg.
Yes, so I saw on Prior Lake and Spring Lake you have the fish bioassessment marker. And what does that mean? Does that mean that the fish populations are threatened, or?
Manager Morkenberg, these have identified through the Index of Biological Integrity, they've identified major factors causing biological impairments within the aquatic system. It's quite complex, so it could be that there's not enough forage fish, or the plankton, the community plankton is not healthy, or there's too much, the abundance of larger fish is present, or too many aquatic invasive fish. So they identify how to resolve that. The stressor ID report. So most of these reports include to identify the impairment. They say there's the excess nutrients are causing problems for the aquatic community, or the non-native aquatic species has impaired the native fish, or that riparian lakeshore development is an issue. So our lakes are heavily developed, so that is obviously a primary cause. And for Spring Lake, excess nutrients is a primary cause. And for Lower Prior Lake, that is not a cause, but the shoreline and AIS is an issue.
And do they take into account the DNR fish surveys that come out every 2 to 3 years there?
Yes, they do. Yep.
So that would be interesting to look at that report.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
I have one question. Has a drought the last couple of years, how has it affected water quality, or do we know that yet?
Yeah, well, that's a tough question. It can improve, and it can sway it both ways. You could say less nutrients going into the lake, but also in lake conditions could, become worse based off of there's no flow through. So where lakes, might have a stream coming from up above that have say if that stream has a high load, like Spring Lake, those really degrade Spring Lake. So on a drought year, it might show better results. Where, Spring Lake is in relatively good, has good water quality, that flows into Prior Lake, so that might be, that external load might be reducing Lower Prior Lakes water quality results. So I guess time will tell on that answer.
One other question. I know it seemed like we have to have 5 years of good data or good records to get off the impair. Is that still true? You need like 5 continuous years?
Generally, you won't find too many MPCA staff giving you a number like 5.
Okay.
Say that's the number.
So is it the MPA staff has to review all our data and who says you're out or
Exactly.
you're still in?
Yeah. Carl might have some, knowledge on how many years on specific projects or lakes.
Other than they're not going to be specific.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought I heard 5 years, but that might have been.
Yeah, so for example, if lake was, had an alum treatment project and had really successful results, but hadn't taken care of that, say there's an external component to their load allocations, they'll see that when they're pre-assessments and say, well, your data shows that should be, could be taken off, it doesn't appear that you've met your long-term goals.
Okay. Not seeing any other questions, so thank you for that, Jeff. We got Emily now, I think.
Yep, that's me. So I'll be pretty light this meeting as I've been out on vacation for 2.5 of the last 4 weeks. But things have been going on thanks to great consultant work. Lots of projects moving right now and work being done, so reports are being finished every day. So the first one to touch on is that we received a draft alternatives analysis today from UR on some different iron-enhanced sand filter sites near Sutton Lake that we could look at. The idea of this study is to assess the cost-benefit of looking elsewhere if the site that we conducted a feasibility study is not possible or becomes less beneficial in comparison with these other sites. So we'll look at comparing the total phosphorus load reduction, costs obviously of site, size needed to treat that water, and then the maintenance and just site requirements. These are preliminary assessments, so they're not going to be super specific, but they're meant to inform our decision making on how much we pursue a certain project or in which order. So we'll bring back, once we've had a chance to look at that and absorb, we'll bring that back probably likely for the next board meeting or workshop for a discussion on where we want to take that in project development. Yep, go ahead.
Yes, so that analysis, does that include, assessment of number of landowners, and has it included any initial conversations with them or not?
All of these landowners have been reached out to. We haven't had direct conversations with the two new sites, although Soil and Water has introduced the idea to them. Neither of them were super, they're not going to pursue the idea on their own. So before having those discussions, we wanted to do a cursory look from our perspective at the watershed district. Even worth opening that door? Are these projects cost efficient? Because we know that both these other sites will require pumping, which increases costs significantly, but it also is further downstream in County Ditch 13, so it could also have a greater phosphorus reduction benefit as well. So that's kind of what this study is going to tell us, is whether those discussions are worthwhile for the district to enter into. But so not really, we haven't had direct conversations.
Those two question marks, those are the other two study areas?
Yep.
In addition to the one we did previously?
Correct. Yep, which is the little document icon for the
Okay. All right.
feasibility study.
I got it, I figured that out.
You got my iconography. Next update is just that the Ferric Chloride system assessment is ongoing. Lots of really great work being conducted. They've provided some preliminary numbers that you've seen in the second version of the draft budget for this month, and will be presented to you all next month with more information and recommendations on updates that would be needed or recommended for 2024. So that's ongoing, and these different tasks continue to develop. So the drive assessment will be starting just this month. Another project that we've made progress in is the outlet pipelining. The district staff submitted a request for capital funding in June, I believe, and that makes the district eligible to be included in a bonding tour. We've not heard that we've been selected to be part of that bonding tour, but that would occur, we've been told, in late summer. And so our goal was to get our construction documents 95% ready so that the district can demonstrate that it's ready to act on this project and become a stronger competitor for capital funding. So we will be completing those documents likely next week, and in preparation for a potential bonding tour. So that's moving forward. And then I believe my last update today is just on flood storage projects. There were 3 that we had discussed moving forward with landowner outreach. Project 1, the Geis wetland, I'm still working to do some easement and document record research and follow up conversations with landowners there. So that's still ongoing. Project 5, we're working with Soil and Water closely, and unfortunately have heard that landowner is not willing to consider the project. Cost is not a motivator for that landowner. And so it seems at this point that the district should put that project development on pause, at least for now. And Project 6, I anticipate reaching in August, just next week. So more to come on that. As discussions have alluded in the workshop and in past questions on this section, it's anticipated that we bring to the next workshop or a workshop to talk about how the board wants to handle projects that may need to be put on hold while we pursue other projects. And so that is a discussion topic that we expect to bring back.
A question, Emily, on Project 5, that's the one that we were kind of partnering with SWCD?
Yes, correct.
And when you say the landowner doesn't have willing land, it just doesn't want any part of the project at all?
Correct. They are not interested at this time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's all for me today.
Okay. Any other updates from staff? Tony, is that it? Nothing else? Any other questions from? No? Okay. Christian, you have a question?
Yes, so the Spring Lake West project, where we are waiting for several issues, and one of them is I believe is Scott County and the right-of-way. And I was just going to hear if we could maybe talk to them again and say, is there any way they could give us a statement on the right-of-way plans in the near future, so that we potentially could move ahead with that in some version.
I have had recent discussions with them. They were not willing to give a statement on right away. It's too early in their study, but I have followed up and asked if we could have a discussion and just brainstorms through some of the ideas that if they would be in general feasible. And they haven't responded to that yet, so I'll be following up on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to move on to one of the highlights of a year is our intern presentation, as they're leaving us pretty soon, I think, right? So we're going to have Ashley Halverson and Lindsay James. I think you guys are going to do a presentation together, right? So step up to the podium.
President Loney and managers, thank you for having us. My name is Lindsay James.
And I'm Ashley Halverson.
And we are your water resources interns for this summer, so we're really excited to share with you all the things that we did this summer.
One of the first tasks that we conducted during the summer was collecting data on aquatic vegetation. These are some of the lakes and water bodies that we collected on throughout the district. We also wrote an instruction manual for incoming interns on how to conduct this process smoothly. Here are some of the photos that we took while we were collecting this data. We saw a lot of cool vegetation and wildlife, including American lotus and goldfish and carp. We used a program called BioBase to collect the data and then analyze it. This program basically processes all the data and shoots out a report, some maps that can be used to make future management decisions. So here are some of the maps that we generated at the very beginning of our summer. And this is Pike Lake, and we have a map for depth, vegetation, and lake bottom hardness.
Yeah, some other parts of our monitoring and research work included stream and lake monitoring. Bi-weekly, we did stream chemistry and lake level collection at 14 different sites. This was really interesting because we got to see how the watershed was changing over the course of the summer and our time here, and we got to use the sonde probe for those parameters. Monthly, we did lake level monitoring, 5 different sites, which was also really interesting, and we got to use the OTT loggers and LinkCom software to do the logger downloads and a little bit of maintenance on lake level monitoring. So that was some really good, valuable experience that I got this summer. And here we have just a few pictures of that in action.
Okay, some other monitoring and research that we did some camp sampling, and CAMP is the citizen-assisted monitoring program that's done through the Metropolitan Council. We did biweekly collections of water samples on Little Pryor. These water samples are then sent for analysis by the Metropolitan Council, and they use it to monitor water quality. And we also were able to participate in eDNA sampling. So we collected a water sample on Lower Pryor for the University of Minnesota's environmental DNA research, which was really cool because we got to be part of a very large project.
Yeah, so as you heard a little bit earlier from Jeff, part of my monitoring and research work has been through the TMDL nutrient impaired lakes work. I created this map as well as compiling all the data that we have in our databases into a spreadsheet describing all of our efforts and how each project has worked to reduce phosphorus loading across Fish, Pike, Spring, and Upper Pryor lakes. So I really like doing this project just because it let me combined a lot of GIS knowledge and watershed knowledge into this big project that will hopefully help us delist our lakes from the impaired waters list.
We also were able to be a part of conservation easement inspections. So throughout the summer, we visited and examined 89 parcels of designated water buffer strips. We also updated field notes, GIS maps, and spreadsheets. And these are some of the photos that we took while we were on our inspections throughout this summer.
Yeah, in addition to that, we created a new spreadsheet for missing signs just to count up how many we need to order if we were going to replace them, and that was really helpful for SWCD. We also attended follow-up meetings with SWCD after each group of easement inspections, and we made an instruction manual for the incoming interns about our procedures and different tips and tricks that we have to make the process go really smoothly and effectively.
We also were able to do some carp removal. We did electrofishing using both the backpack and boat. We went out a total of 4 times throughout the summer, and we removed a total of 1,338 pounds of carp, which was really cool and great. We also did some radio tracking on Spring Lake just to see where the carp were located. That bottom picture under the writing was Lindsay and I's first day. We went out electrofishing, and those were our first fish that we got. And then those are some other pictures of the boat. Yeah, and some other carp management that we were able to be a part of. We stocked Geiss and the desalt pond with bluegill hybrids for carp management. They love to eat carp eggs, so they're great at controlling the carp population. And today, as Jeff mentioned, we started baiting areas in Spring Lake for the hog trap with WSB.
Yeah, a little bit more about our operations and maintenance. We helped with P-lock maintenance and inspected different areas, took out trees to prevent erosion from happening in the wrong places and disrupting the water flow. So that felt really cool. I liked doing that kind of field work, especially because we got to see exactly how we were affecting the watershed in a good way. And we removed some invasive, noxious wild parsnip as a part of that too. It was really cool because we got to learn some plant identification skills that were really valuable.
Some of the education and outreach that we were able to partake in this summer included writing an article about the importance of plankton monitoring. So we got to do a bunch of research and write about it, and it was very fun and interesting. We also created handouts for the CAC, for landowners. We researched and wrote about the Woodland Owner Incentive Program, the Reinvest in Minnesota program, and some information about some iron-enhanced sand filters that can be used to give out to landowners who want some more information. We also were able to collect aquatic vegetation for the kids' fishing clinic, which is super cool. We got to learn some aquatic plant ID skills. And we also made posts on the district's Facebook and Instagram accounts for some social media outreach.
So a little bit more about us as interns. Again, my name is Lindsay. I'm a rising senior at Gustavus Adolphus College in St. Peter, Minnesota. I'll get a double major in environmental studies and geography. And when I get back to school, I will be continuing to work with the city of St. Peter in the fall to make progress in the Green Steps program for sustainability and quality of life as a part of my on-campus internship.
And I'm Ashley, and I recently graduated from the University of Minnesota Twin Cities this May with a degree in ecology, evolution, and behavior. and I thoroughly enjoyed my time working in water resources and hope to continue working in the field of ecology throughout my career.
Again, thank you so much for listening to us, and we want to extend a special thank you to our supervisors for all your support and helping us along our way to learn more about watershed management. So we appreciate that. And if you have questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. When did you start? That's what my question. And what day did you start this year?
May 24th.
And you got a lot of, like they got a lot of work done in 2 months or 3 months, whatever it is. But yeah, it's a great job, great presentation. And since you created an instruction manual for interns, you're not coming back. So, darn. Any questions for Ashley or Lindsay? They did a great job. Thank you. That's a wonderful presentation.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you on a good did this summer, and it looked like you had a lot of fun and that you have passion for what you're doing going forward. So hopefully this is a real life experience, and I think you had very good supervisors. Your presentation was excellent, and so good luck to you in the future, and thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I would just say, was your funnest work project, was that the electrofishing carp?
My favorite was the collecting vegetated data on lakes through Biobase.
Oh, okay.
Mine was definitely the carp management,
Okay.
electrofishing. Yeah.
I saw a big smile in some of those pictures, so I thought that was to be one of them. Okay. Anything else, Frank?
Not for me.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have a staff paid holiday item. Manager Geesey, you want to present?
President Maloney and managers. As we know, the governor and the legislature this past year designated Juneteenth as a state holiday, and as we decided to do a little more research in terms of the implications of that as it related to paid staff holidays for staff. I reached out to 8 other metropolitan watershed districts to gain an understanding of how they were handling the additional holiday in relation to the total number of paid holidays offered to their staffs. Once again, all of the watershed districts that I contacted added an additional paid holiday to the benefits package for their staff. And the total number of paid holidays ranged for these districts from 11 to 13.5 paid holidays. More than half of the watershed districts that I had solicited had 12 total paid holidays as part of their benefits package. Should Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District add 1 additional paid holiday, we would then also be at a total of 12 paid holidays as part of our benefits package. And once again, I believe that maintaining a competitive benefits package is important for the district in order for us to attract and retain qualified staff. Therefore, staff is recommending that the Board of Managers amend the personnel policy to add Juneteenth to the district's paid holidays.
Okay, thank you. The item on the agenda is as recommended, to amend our personnel policy to add Juneteenth to district paid holidays. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Manager Boyle, second by Manager Burnett. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing or hear anything. All ready to vote? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, so now we're up to the Treasurer's Report. Manager Morkenberg.
Thank you, President Loney. The expenditures are within the budget, and there's nothing out of ordinary. The expenditures will be, as we discussed before, will be heavier in the second part of the year. And as an example, the expenditures expenditures for July reflect this. So what we'll be voting on here is, you can see we are getting some of the bigger billing coming in from engineers and so on. We are changing to a new Visa card, so we are changing from a US Bank Visa card to a bank card, a US bank card, purchase card. And the benefit of that is that we may receive some cash back for expenditures, and there's less risk of late fee or finance charges. So overall, it's a better card to have. So yet again, another example of sort of improving how we work with managing our finances. Finally, I believe Administrator Joni was going to review the our investment situation. Is that correct?
That is correct, Manager Barkeberg.
Is there any questions on Christian's report from the board? Okay, thank you. And
Thank you.
yes, this is a time for our quarterly report of investment activities. And there is a memo from Manager Giese in your packet, but Joni, why don't you go ahead and
Certainly, President
through
Loney
that.
and managers. So currently, the district has funds, a bulk of our funds in two different money market amounts that are currently earning interest in between 5% and 5.1%. The remainder of the district funds are invested in securities and CDs that have earning interest ranging from 4.3 to 5.25%. As I've mentioned in the past, the city uses what we call a laddered approach to our investment practices, where a portion of the funds that we are investing mature approximately every 3 months. So this approach allows us to make sure that we always have some cash on hand when we have projects, so that we're never not liquid enough to be able to pay expenditures as they're coming due. Currently, we have 47% of the district funds categorized as either restricted or committed, which means we can only use those funds for the purpose that they are restricted or committed for, such as alum treatment or for emergency purposes for the Prior Lake outlet channel. At the end of this year, we're also intending to and an additional 13% of the district's funds, once again in compliance with our budget, once again to continue to build up our alum reserve fund and also to build up some other designated funds. So with that, we will have approximately 60% of our funds have already been designated for purposes. And staff is anticipating that these funds are going to be expended here next couple of years. We're anticipating some fairly large projects coming down here in the next couple of years that will then be using those restricted and committed funds.
And one question, do we know if we're going to have an alum treatment next year, or is that up in the air?
We will be assessing our water data results here for this current year, and that is going to start giving us, in December, that will start giving us a clue of whether it's time to start thinking about doing an alum treatment. It's possible that we would maybe start doing some more detailed assessment next year with treatments possibly occurring in 2025.
Yeah. And that's, I think, very appropriate that the next couple of years we'll see some of these funds be expended that we've been putting money away for.
Right, we're building up the funds, but these projects are very expensive.
Yep.
And so those funds will be expended with just a project or two.
I actually look forward to these quarterly reports. They're actually very good. They give us a good summary, especially the investment side that you're doing. And we're very fortunate to have Joni as an ex-CPA. She knows, she's working these funds through a ladder program to get us the maximum amount of investment without any funds. So thank you, Joni. Any questions on that report? Okay, well, moving on, then we're going to go to the consent agenda. And there's two items, 6.1 and 6.5 need to come off the consent agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, 6.1 and the claims list portion of 6.5.
Okay, and there's, you put claims list on our table here for us to look at. So first of all, we do a consent agenda for items 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.6, and 6.7. Is there a motion to approve those items?
Second.
A motion made and seconded. I'll just read the items here real quick. Meeting minutes of July 11th, 2023 board workshop, and also the board meeting, that's 6.3. Meeting minutes from May 30th, 2023 CAC meeting. Spring Lake Watershed District website redesign agreement with HDR Incorporated. And Jeffers, 6.7 is Jeffers Lodge declaration of conservation easement. A motion been made and seconded on that consent. There's no discussion, so all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so now we're at 6.1, which is meeting minutes, and there has to be some kind of amendment, I believe, for that.
Right, President Loney and managers, staff is proposing an amendment to the joint CAC and Board of Managers meetings for the meeting on June 22nd. Staff is, under the adjournment, staff is proposing to change that the motion was made from Lauren Hanson. Right now it's showing Lauren made the motion. Staff is recommending that that be changed to Matt Topley. So with that one amendment, staff recommends that the managers approve the joint Board of Managers and CAC minutes as amended.
Okay. Is that the only change?
That is the only change.
Okay. So I'm looking for
So moved.
approval of the minutes as amended. Motion by Manager Boyle, second by Manager Burnett. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, the next one is item 6.5, the claims list. And what's the change on?
Staff found out that there was a typographical error in one of the dollar values for one of the invoices included in the claims list that was distributed. There was one invoice that was listed as $16,974.75, and it really should have been $16,954.75. A whopping $20 difference, but just to make sure that we have the record straight, staff is making the recommendation to, with that error correction, staff is recommending that the Board of Managers approve the August claims list along with the Visa expenditures and the U.S. bank card purchases. But let me change that amendment. Staff recommends that the Board of Managers approve the August claims list in the amount of $145,078.47, along with approving the expenditures for the Visa in the amount of $115.37, expenditures from the U.S. bank card in the amount of $847.26.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Manager Boyles, second by Manager Burnett. Let me get that down. Okay, so that's of the amended or the claims list as mentioned by Administrator Casey. All in favor of the motion, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I think that takes care of the consent agenda. Manager Boyles.
Chair, if I could make a comment, one of the items on the consent agenda is our regular meeting minutes for Tuesday, July 11. I sponsored a motion with respect to the Spring Lake Association information brochure, something that I know all very much supported. My recommendation was that we delay for 7 days to make comments to the association that might be beneficial to the document. I feel badly. I apologize that as the motioner, I failed to meet that 7-day deadline. I needlessly delayed the issuance of that important information, and I just want to apologize to the folks of the Spring Lake Association. It was not intentional. You guys are doing a wonderful job, and keep it up. I'll try to step in the way next time.
Okay, apology accepted, I believe. I heard it out there. So, yeah, I know I sent back no comments, so did you send an email to Wes of the SLA?
Yes, we did notify Spring Lake Association that no additional suggested revisions had been submitted.
Okay, so that went ahead after that week. Okay, so now we're at the point of upcoming meetings. We're going to have a Prior Lake Outlet Channel Cooperators Quarterly meeting on August 17th at 12 p.m. here at the Prior Lake City Hall, Parkview Conference Room. Our next Board of Manager workshop is Tuesday, September 12th, 4 p.m. at the Prior Lake City Hall, Parkview Conference Room, and our Board of Manager regular meeting would be September 12th, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. The next CAC meeting is Thursday, September 28th, 2023 at 6 p.m. at Prior Lake City Hall, the Wagon Bridge Conference Room. And I could mention we're going to have a Farmers-Led Council meeting on August 15th. That's at noon at Spring Lake Township, correct? Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Manager Burnett. Second by Manager Morkenberg. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 6:59.